So I want you to picture like a colossal cosmic knee.
A knee?
Yeah, giant knee. And from the pores of this knee, billions of kings and priests and their massive entourages are just pouring out into the vacuum of space.
It is an absolutely staggering visual, yeah.
Right. Now, look up toward the navel of this gigantic figure.
Okay.
Entire clouds of ascetics are flying out of it, just, soaring through the cosmos. And from the sides of this being's torso, an infinite number of dragon kings are manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they are raining down unimaginable, like galaxy-spanning clouds of jewels and gorgeous canopies and glowing lotus flowers.
Yeah, it completely shatters our ordinary perception of scale, doesn't it?
It shatters everything. I mean, when you tell people we are doing a deep dive into ancient Buddhist texts today, they're going to picture a quiet, serene monk sitting cross-legged by a tranquil lotus pond. Right.
Right. Imparting very minimalist wisdom about breathing.
Exactly. They do not expect a textual landscape that reads like an explosive multiverse comic book epic. It is loud, it is massive, and it is overwhelmingly complex. So yeah, welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks. For our journey today, we are exploring the ultimate truth of the universe as presented in some truly paradigm-shattering literature.
Yeah, we've got a wild stack of sources today.
We do. Our stack includes excerpts from the massive ancient text known as the...
It's 40 fascicle text. Right?
Yes, specifically the 40 fascicle version, alongside some foundational Pali texts. And we are also bringing in modern academic papers that decode the incredibly intricate philosophy that evolved from these writings.
So our mission today is to decode this cosmic blueprint. We're going to explore the mind-blowing, almost sci-fi scale of the Drew, dig into how the ancients viewed the malleability of physical reality, and unpack a philosophy of interconnectedness that sounds shockingly like the conceptual blueprint for the modern internet.
It really does.
So for you listening, just throw that image of the quiet monk right out the window. We are diving into a reality-bending cosmic projection.
To truly understand the philosophical weight of these texts, we first have to grapple with the sheer scale of the imagery the ancient writers used to describe reality.
Right.
The arrow doesn't operate like a simple list of ethical rules.
Yeah, definitely not.
It attempts to describe the ultimate truth of the universe exactly as the Buddha perceived it in the immediate aftermath of Enlightenment. But we have to clarify something right away.
Oh yeah, this is important.
The main character of this text isn't the historical human walking around in sandals.
We aren't talking about the man who sat under the Bodhi tree.
Exactly. We are dealing with the cosmic Yes. In this context, this isn't a human being. This is the universe itself personified.
Wow.
It's the ultimate reality, the sum total of all existence. And the scale the text uses to communicate this is what leads to those staggering visuals we started with.
Staggering honestly feels like an understatement. Reading the excerpts from the text, my jaw was practically on the floor.
I'm sure it was.
I mean, we talked about the knees, the navel, and the sides. But the text goes even further. It describes this auspicious mark on his chest, and from this mark, microscopic dust mote-size Azura kings. These warrior deities are manifesting incredible illusions. And these microscopic beings are so powerful, they're causing millions of entire worlds to vibrate and shake. Feels like modern CGI.
It really is an overwhelming amount of data for the brain.
It's like a virtual reality simulation running on a supercomputer that has mapped every single particle in the universe.
The academic papers highlight a crucial point here regarding why the text operates at this scale. Because, the ancient compilers weren't writing a fantasy novel to entertain a crowd.
Right, they had a specific goal.
Exactly. This overwhelming brain-breaking imagery is a structural tool. It is a visual representation of how ultimate truth operates. The text is demonstrating infinite compassion and teaching projecting everywhere, simultaneously in all dimensions, to relieve suffering.
But, how does making the reader imagine billions of kings falling out of a knee achieve that? I mean, why not just say the universe is full of compassion?
Because stating it plainly doesn't alter your consciousness. The text actively attempts to break the reader's ordinary, limited perception of space and form.
Ah, okay.
Our daily reality is constrained by geometry, right? We think of a single object occupying a single space.
Right. An apple is just an apple on a desk.
Yes. By forcing the mind to visualize microscopic dust motes shaking entire galaxies or infinite clouds of dragons emerging from a single torso, the text forcefully stretches your cognitive boundaries. It is preparing the mind to accept that the ultimate truth is not bound by the physical laws we take for granted.
Okay, that makes sense. Also, I should add that historically, this text was kind of like a massive ancient open source project, wasn't it?
That's a great way to put it, actually. Yes, independent texts from around the 1st century BCE were eventually combined and compiled into one gigantic mega sutra around the 3rd or 4th century.
It's just wild to think about. So we have this text, the Indra, that is deliberately bending physical reality in every direction, painting a picture of an infinite layered multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
But that makes me wonder about the physical universe itself. How did these early traditions view the actual ground that you and I walk on? And what did they think human potential was within that space?
Our second set of sources, the ancient Pali texts, gives us a fascinating look at the cosmology of the time.
Oh, this part was so interesting.
Yeah, these texts describe the physical creation of the world in a deeply visceral way. Initially, they posit there was no solid form at all. There was only water and deep, total darkness.
Just an infinite dark ocean in all directions.
Precisely. There was no sun, no moon, no distinction between day and night. Over a vast, almost incomprehensible period of time, the solid earth began to form on the surface of this water.
And the analogy they use here is so striking.
It is. They state that the earth formed exactly like the skin that forms on the surface of cooling, boiling milk.
Great, wait, like the film you get on top of warm milk.
Exactly that.
That is slightly gross, but it is such a perfect visual. When you heat milk and let it cool, this thin, fragile membrane coagulates on the top. So in their cosmological framework, the solid ground we walk on the earth itself is just a phase transition.
Right.
It is just coagulated formlessness.
That is the exact mechanism they are trying to convey. It establishes that the physical world isn't as solid, dense, or permanent as our human senses report it to be. The earth is just a temporary state of matter, a thin membrane over an ocean of potential. And because the physical world is ultimately this malleable, the texts claim that beings could develop incredible physical abilities through intense, highly concentrated meditation. These abilities were known as iddhivida.
Yes. Okay, this is where we get into the ancient superpowers.
Right.
The excerpts literally describe people diving into the solid earth as if it were water.
Yes.
They describe walking on water as if it were solid land, flying cross-legged through the sky like a bird, reaching up and physically touching the sun and the moon and traveling all the way to the highest Brahma realms. Now, I have to push back here because for someone listening today, this sounds less like a profound philosophy and more like reading a superhero origin story.
It does sound like match.
Or like leveling up a character in a video game to unlock flight mode. Are we genuinely supposed to take this literally? Because it sounds like ancient science fiction magic.
It is essential to approach this with nuance. Undoubtedly, there were people in the ancient world who took these descriptions as literal historical facts.
Sure, people love magic.
However, the academic consensus on the philosophical weight of these texts points in a different direction. These physical feats are deeply sophisticated metaphors for spiritual liberation.
So we shouldn't be focusing on the physical body flying, but on what the flying represents for human consciousness.
Exactly. Consider the metaphor of the earth being like the skin on milk. If the solid earth represents the rigid, inflexible ways we think our deeply held prejudices, our ego, our stubborn attachment to our own opinions,
Okay.
then the act of diving into the solid earth as if it were water represents a mind that has become completely fluid. Breaking the laws of physics is a metaphorical vehicle for breaking the strict mental bonds of human limitation.
Oh, okay, that makes so much more sense. Walking on water isn't a magic trick. It's a demonstration of a consciousness that no longer sinks under the weight of emotional turbulence.
Precisely.
Reaching up to touch the sun is a mind that is no longer bound by distance or separation. It's about realizing that the walls we think are stopping us are actually constructed by our own rigid perceptions.
And that realization is the perfect bridge to our next major source. We have a universe where galaxies pop out of a cosmic Buddha's navel, where the Earth is just a membrane over cosmic milk, and where human consciousness can theoretically bypass the laws of physics.
It's a lot of chaos.
It is. And for an ancient philosopher, making sense of a universe that chaotic required mapping it logically.
Which brings us to the great thinker who looked at the staggering, almost overwhelming imagery of the tree and decided to build a rigorous, structured philosophical system out of it.
Yes, he became the foundational architect of the East school of thought.
But how do you even begin to categorize a universe where billions of kings are falling out of a knee? I mean, where do you start?
Well, achieved this by introducing the concept of dharmatatu-dependent origination and what he called the non-obstruction of principle and phenomena.
I have to stop you there because those are very heavy, incredibly dense academic phrases.
Right.
We need to unpack that for the listener. Let's start with the second phrase, non-obstruction of principle and phenomena. What exactly is a principle and what is a phenomenon in this context?
Let's break it down. Phenomena refers to all the individual observable things in the universe. An apple, a person, a galaxy, a thought, a gust of wind. These are all phenomena.
Okay, got it.
Principle, on the other hand, refers to the underlying universal law that governs all these things. In this Buddhist framework, the ultimate principle is emptiness, or interconnectedness, the truth that nothing exists independently.
So phenomena are the physical objects we see, and the principle is the invisible rule of physics or reality that runs beneath them.
A classic way to visualize this is the ocean and the waves. The ocean water itself, wet, fluid, formless, is the principle. The individual, unique waves crashing on the shore are the phenomena. R argued for the non-obstruction between the two. The wave doesn't block the ocean. The wave is the ocean manifesting in a specific shape. Therefore, the physical form of a thing doesn't obstruct the ultimate underlying truth of its interconnectedness.
Okay, wow. That makes the phrase dharmatatu-dependent origination much clearer. Nothing originates independently. Everything depends on everything else to exist. The wave only exists because of the wind, the water, and the gravity of the moon.
Exactly. And because of this profound lack of independent existence, formulated his most famous explanation revolving around the phrase, one is many is one.
Right.
He argued that because a single phenomenon, let's say a single person, doesn't have a rigid, isolated border separating them from the rest of the universe, that single person has the capacity to reflect and connect with everything else. Therefore, the one can completely encompass the many.
But mechanically, how does one thing contain many things? I mean, I look at an apple on my desk. It's just one apple. It doesn't contain a galaxy.
Mechanically, the text argues that the boundaries you see are cognitive illusions. The text explicitly states that there is no true barrier between self and other.
Not at all.
None. It argues that you can drop yourself to assimilate with others, or you can take in others to assimilate with yourself completely without obstruction. Because the apple relies on the soil, the rain from the clouds, the energy from the sun, and the labor of the farmer, the entire universe is present in the apple.
That's beautiful.
And created a breathtaking visual metaphor to explain this total integration. He called it Indra's net.
Oh, tell us about Indra's net, because this is where the sources get incredibly visual again.
Imagine a massive net stretching infinitely in all directions, up, down, left, right, across the entire cosmos. And at every single intersection of this infinite net, there is a multifaceted jewel. Every jewel is polished to absolute perfection.
Okay, I'm picturing this infinite 3D grid of floating jewels.
Now, look closely at any single jewel in that net. Because it is perfectly polished, you will see the reflection of every other jewel in the entire cosmic net shining on its surface.
Oh, wow.
And if you peer deeply into that reflection, you will see the reflections of all the other jewels reflected within it, going on and on into infinity.
It's a fractal reality.
Yes.
The deeper you zoom in, the more you see the entire pattern repeated flawlessly. And here is where I had a massive aha moment reading these papers. When you describe a system where every single node contains an infinite simultaneous reflection of every other node in the entire network, you are describing the structure of the World Wide Web.
Exactly.
It's a giant network of hyperlinks. Every single web page links to every other web page, routing information instantly, or essentially conceptualized the internet 1,000 years before computers were even a dream.
The parallel to modern network theory is astonishingly accurate. In the Risk school of thought, nothing exists in isolation, not even for a microsecond. Every single phenomenon, no matter how microscopically small, contains the ultimate truth of the whole.
That is just incredible.
You don't need to travel to the edge of the universe to find the ultimate nature of reality, because the entire universe is perfectly mathematically reflected in a single grain of sand on a beach or a single drop of water in the ocean.
Because the entire network is present at every access point. If you log into the internet from a cafe in Tokyo or a library in New York, you are accessing the exact same whole.
Precisely. And historically, we actually saw this philosophy manifest in the real world. In 8th century Japan, Resso was so deeply moved by this vision of a perfectly interconnected, harmonious universe, he used it as a blueprint for national peace.
Wait, really? He built something based on this?
Yes, he ordered the construction of the colossal Great Buddha at Ez Temple.
The giant bronze statue in Nara.
Exactly. That massive statue is essentially a giant ancient 3D model of this exact interconnected universe we're talking about.
So it's not just an abstract idea, it literally shaped entire nations.
Yes, it did.
This brings up a massive question for me, though. We have this infinite interconnected web of reflecting jewels. We have billions of kings falling out of a cosmic knee. Where do we fit in?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do the ordinary people, you, me, the listener, who is currently stuck in traffic or stressing out about a work deadline, where do we exist inside Indra's net? And what about characters from the text, like a Binchur?
Ah, yes. It's from the epic road movie section of the sutra.
Yeah.
The youth who goes on a massive quest seeking wisdom from 53 diverse mentors.
Which is wild, by the way. He learns from monks, kings, merchants, even a prostitute. It's such a diverse cast of teachers.
It is. But to answer your question about where we fit in, we turn to the final paper in our stack, which analyzes the work of another foundational thinker named Chengguan. He took Arla's work on principle and phenomena and expanded it into a comprehensive system called the Four Dharmadhatu theory.
Okay, we need to define those four realms so we don't lose the listener. What are the four Dharmadhatu?
They map out the progression of human understanding. The first is the realm of phenomena. This is our everyday world where we see separate, individual things like apples, cars, and people.
Okay, the basic reality.
Yes. The second is the realm of principle. This is the realization of the underlying emptiness and interconnectedness of everything.
Got it.
The third is the realm of non-obstruction between principle and phenomena. This is realizing that the everyday world and the ultimate truth aren't enemies. The wave is the ocean.
And the fourth?
The fourth is the realm of non-obstruction between phenomena and phenomena. This is the realization of Indra's net. It is the understanding that because everything is the ocean, every individual wave is perfectly connected to every other wave. Nothing blocks anything else.
It's all just one giant fluid system.
Exactly. But Chengguan didn't stop there. He made a radical conclusion. He argued that all four of these realms, the everyday traffic jams, the cosmic scale, the infinite network of jewels, the dragons raining down flowers, are all fundamentally based on one singular foundation, the one mind.
The one mind. Are you saying that all of this is psychological?
The texts propose that from this pure, singular one mind, absolutely everything we experience manifests. Both the delusions of ordinary beings, our stress, our anger, our feelings of isolation, and the perfect galaxy-spanning enlightenment of the Buddhas, they all appear from the exact same source. And that source is consciousness itself.
Wait, let me make sure I'm fully wrapping my head around the mechanics of this, and let's clarify this for the listener. We started this deep dive with a cosmic light show, microscopic asuras vibrating millions of worlds, ascetics flying through the vacuum of space, the ancient oceans turning into Earth's like milkskin.
Are you saying that none of that is happening out there in deep space, but rather it is all happening inside human consciousness?
That is the grand unifying reveal of this philosophy. The massive sci-fi scale of the Anazule isn't a telescope looking outward at deep space.
Okay.
It is a highly detailed, symbolic microscope looking inward at the mind's own infinite potential.
Wow. The universe isn't a container that we live inside. The universe is a projection of the mind that we possess.
The universe is inextricably grounded in the mind. The texts use these mind-blowing, reality-bending visuals to show us what a human consciousness actually looks like when it is completely free from obstruction and ego. When you finally remove the artificial borders of self and other, when you stop viewing yourself as an isolated, rigid phenomenon, your mind doesn't just become peaceful. It becomes as vast, as creative, and as brilliantly interconnected as an infinite web of jewels spanning the cosmos. That is incredibly profound. Okay, let's take a breath and synthesize everything we have covered today, because we have traveled across a massive conceptual landscape.
We really have.
For you listening, we started with the explosive, multiverse-level visuals of the Arskia, a cosmic creature projecting entire galaxies and armies from his pores. We traveled through a dark, ancient cosmology where the Earth was just a thin skin over water.
Right.
And where human beings used deep meditation to fly like birds and swim through solid rock as a metaphor for mental fluidity.
And we grounded all of that cosmic chaos in the brilliant, rigorous philosophy of Ajares and the Art School. We explored how the ultimate truth of the universe is found in the non-obstruction of principle and phenomena, leading to the breathtaking vision of Indra's net, which even inspired to build a sure.
And finally, thanks to Cheng-Wan, we discovered that the ultimate infinite network isn't a supercomputer, and it isn't hiding out in the distant stars. The ultimate network is the human mind itself. Both our everyday struggles and our highest cosmic potential are born from the exact same consciousness.
It is a remarkable journey of understanding, and I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. The next time you go online and you marvel at how connected our modern world is, how you can instantly access a node of information from across the globe with a simple tap on a screen, remember the philosophy we discussed today. Over 1,000 years ago, ancient thinkers mapped out an infinitely more complex network. And they didn't need a router, they didn't need a fiber optic cable, and they didn't need a microchip. They mapped the entirety of reality using just their own consciousness. It forces us to ask a rather humbling question. What if our most advanced modern technology is just barely catching up to an ancient understanding of reality?
Finally, we have a brief apology and a request. Here at AI Buddhism University, we try our best to minimize the mispronunciation of complex Buddhist terminology. But due to the limitations of AI technology, some occasional errors might slip through. Please forgive us. If you have any advice on how to improve the AI's pronunciation, we would love to borrow your wisdom, so please let us know in the comments. We will continue to cover fascinating topics like biographies of great monks, sutra explanations, and the hidden history of Buddhism, so we're also waiting for your topic requests in the comments. If